Hello, all Israel News viewers. I am in Tel Aviv with Sammy. Some of you guys might recognize Sammy from social media. We're going to go around and talk about the special thing about Sammy. Sammy, introduce yourself real quick for the audience, where you're from, what you're about.
My name's Sammy. I made Aliyah in November from North London. I'm 24 and currently I'm working on fighting for the Jewish people and empowering our nation across the world.
Guys, we're going to walk around, talk about all things interesting.
I'm Israel Chai.
I'm Israel Chai. It's not a typical day in Tel Aviv. We are experiencing a different type of war than we've been in the last year and 7-8 months. We have been preemptively attacking Iran. Iran, of course, has attacked back.
Peace through strength. The Iranian regime will fall and the Middle East will be a safer place than Europe.
Wow. Okay, guys, so the Iron Dome and all the different types of defense weapons that we have, sometimes they miss, is the reality of it. I think in one of the first days there were 200 missiles. Last night there were about 100, something of that sort. And so I'm gonna zoom in for you guys so that you can see, like, it's just destruction.
Just a minute ago we saw a guy filling up buckets full of glass, emptying his house of shattered glass. And like you said, Oriel, I mean, the Iron Dome shoots down about 95% of what's fired at us, even before it reaches our airspace. We have the F-35 fighter jets busy shooting them down to help us stay sleeping comfortably at night. I was sat here for a coffee last week.
Oh.
But I want to say that this should not lead Jews to believe that it's not safe for us here. The situation rooms and the bunkers that we have in almost every single building are life-saving. And unfortunately, when you look at the likes of the UK, Europe, Canada, I just don't see the same prioritization of the safety of the citizens in any capacity as you see here. This is what the Jewish people are about. You have the demonization of people who talk out against immigrants who do not want to assimilate. There's over 2,000 mosques in the UK, and surveys show that over 50% of UK Muslims support Hamas and are sympathetic with Hamas. And I strongly believe that places like the UK and Canada, the Jews do not have a future. When I say to people, I think the Jews should be leaving places like France, like England and like Canada, and they say, oh, I'll leave when it gets too bad. I have to ask, what does getting too bad look like? Is that them on their doorstep, on your doorstep? Has your door been kicked in? Is that when it's too bad? With my content, and this is controversial, especially within the Jewish community, I try not to focus on the damage which is being done to us and the people that have been stolen from us and are still in captivity. What I've found within myself is that when I see these videos of the Hamas atrocities and I hear the news of whatever it is being done to my people, I'm angry and upset for a second, and that turns into motivation for action. I see our community like an orchestra, and it's mostly made up of violinists, and which is a beautiful thing, and it's an important thing to acknowledge the sadness, to acknowledge the trauma, and to share our grief, because that's a way of getting through it. But unfortunately, an orchestra also needs drummers, and we are desperately lacking drummers. So we need people who react to this trauma in a proactive way. So as soon as I realized that when I left the Jewish community, how vulnerable we are, I went back to learning self-defense. And I also went and started for the first time in my life really paying attention to learning about Jewish and Israeli history, or this one in the same. But because that's also, to me, that's just as valid a form of self-defense as self-defense physically. Because I could not be sat in a room with people lying and libeling about my community and without something to say back that's meaningful. And of course, the self-defense that I've been training for a long time gives me the confidence in many scenarios. And I probably would never have started doing the content that I'm doing without having trained self-defense, because it gives you the confidence to stick true to exactly what you believe and not temper your opinions for anyone or any environment. And that's something I really believe strongly in. And it's something that most of the Jewish community, I would argue, is pretty poor at. Even Jews in positions of leadership, they find themselves pandering to other people. You see Jews in the diaspora believing that if only they just separate themselves from the Israeli government, if they condemn the Israeli government, people will stop hating us. Maybe if we leave Judea and Samaria, they'll stop hating us. What's next? We leave Tel Aviv, they'll stop hating us.
We've been talking a lot about strength and a lot about, courage and bravery. What is your message of hope to the Jewish people living abroad and the Jewish people living here when maybe perhaps they're not as brave as you are, they're not as naturally courageous?
I really love that question because when people see courage, they think superhuman. And I think it's such a terrible misconception. First of all, what you said, natural courage. There's no such thing as natural courage.
No?
No. The biggest misconception is that courage is people who don't feel fear. It's the opposite. It's people who feel fear, they get that adrenaline and they use it to their advantage. And that takes training, that takes understanding, and it takes time. That's something that really needs to be understood by people who don't feel courageous or bold in their own lives. So I always say that I try to put myself through physical pain or stress so that I'm better able to cope with the stress and the difficulty that life puts on me. And I think that's what all humans should strive to do. It teaches you how to control your mind and teaches you how to react to pain or to these bullies that we face. Because I see straight through them. When you see these people, you can see that the inside, that they're full of pain and they're reacting to something in a way that is just totally irrational and that they're not actually formidable or strong individuals for the most part. And honestly, I'm actually quite an emotional person. We were just saying, I'm actually kind of a mummy's boy. But I think the most courageous people are emotional people for the reasons I've just said, because you have to be in touch with your emotions and understand your body's natural reactions to things. Like, for example, if you see a bear, your heart's going to start pounding, you're going to get adrenaline, but that adrenaline serves a purpose, not just to make you start quivering in your boots. The adrenaline serves a purpose to then get you to run. And if you can't naturally go from the fear to the run, then you're not understanding the processes of your body or your mind properly, which is why I'm a massive proponent of physical exercise and meditation and things like that. And I think things like traveling around the world and trauma, unfortunately, like October the 7th, have made me realize just how fragile things like material things like abundance and freedom are. That's why I started doing what I was doing in the first place, whether it was teaching self-defense or going to these rallies and interviewing the protesters. I feel like I have a responsibility. And I think once people understand in themselves that it's not that difficult to fight in their own individual way, and everyone has their role. It doesn't all have to look like my fight or someone else's fight. Everyone has their own fight. It's about the fight internally, and once you've got the fight internally, externally comes much easier.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We've enjoyed this day walking around, even though it's chaotic. We keep our strength, as Sammy says. What's your motto?
Peace through strength.
Peace through strength.
3 words, very easy to remember. Peace through strength.
Peace through strength. Thank you, Sammy, so much. I hope that you guys have enjoyed our talks. But share and spread this message. It's an important message for the Jewish people today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want more Israel-related content, go to allisraelnews.com. Don't forget to hit subscribe and the notification bell, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Thank you.